Dear Waiting Moms, welcome to another episode of Becoming Moms podcast. My name is Dr. Tien. I'm a pharmacist and a fertility coach, and I'm your host. After almost 2 years of my own trying to conceive journey with irregular cycles and insulin resistance, I can understand how challenging and lonely it is to be on this journey. And at the beginning of 2022, I was able to regulate my cycles and fall pregnant naturally, as well as improve my insulin resistance by lowering my A1C down to a normal range after only 6 weeks. I am now on a mission to help all of you waiting moms find a better, more balanced way to optimize your hormones and your body in order to increase your chances of conceiving without feeling like you have to be on any restrictive diet or crazy amount of medication or supplements. I know I don't want to do that, so I don't want you to have to go through that either. Okay, so let's get in today's episode. All right, my voice is not completely back 100%, but we will work with what we got. Okay, so this week I wanted to actually go a little bit more in depth about my story and my transformation and how I was able to conceive naturally with my irregular cycles and insulin resistance. So a little bit background here. I actually didn't even know that I have insulin resistance all these years. And we were trying to conceive for about 2 years. I finally went to my primary care physician. Normally I go for my checkup once a year, but because we were during our pandemic, I didn't go to my checkup the year before that. But once thing was kind of getting better, I felt comfortable enough to go to the doctor and get a physical checkup. So I was talking to her and telling her, oh, I've been trying for 2 years and I don't have my period for like 6 months at a time. And then sometimes it would come a little bit sooner. After my birth control, it was every 6 months. And then the year after that, it was about 2 to 3 months. And then sometimes it would disappear for like 6 months again. So anyway, so that didn't help, right? So I was telling her all of that. So then we decided to get a blood panel to check to see what's going on. And see, I'm still coughing. She thought, well, according to her, she drew a panel for PCOS. But once I went to my OB, apparently it wasn't correct. And we had to draw another PCOS panels. But the first panel came back with higher A1C than I was expecting. So normally you want your A1C to be less than 5.7 for it to be considered normal. And then between 5.7 and 6.4, that's the pre-diabetes range. And above 6.4, that's type 2 diabetes range, which is diabetes in general. So mine was at 5.7, so right at the border of pre-diabetes. And it was pretty shocking when I received the news. So instead of, I guess, relating that to insulin resistant and PCOS, my doctor just sent a message. You know, nowadays everything is communicated through like a My Chart app type thing where they could send you messages instead of call you, after you get your test results. So that's what she did. She messaged me on the app and said, you have prediabetes. I recommend you eat a low carb diet, increase physical activities, and we'll see how things goes. And then she also mentioned something about connecting me with a nutritionist that I wanted to learn how to eat low carbs. And I guess she doesn't know. Well, she still doesn't. But anyways, I actually help patient with type 2 diabetes lower the A1C. And I don't do that by suggesting a low carb diet. So once I read that, I was like, oh no, this is what all of my patients are getting from their providers. And that's why they're not getting the result that they're looking for. But even before that came across my mind, I was actually in some sort of like a denial or shock. And I was just like, what? Why? Why do I have pre-diabetes? Like, I'm only 30. And most people don't have diabetes until their 50s or older. And I don't, I haven't even drank soda for the past 10 years of my life. So a lot of that was going through my mind, like, I'm doing all the right thing. Like, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm a healthcare professional. Why is this happening to me? I don't understand. And it makes sense now that it's from my hormones imbalances through PCOS. Even though I don't actually have a PCOS diagnosis. So remember how I said the first panels wasn't actually correct. And then I went to my OB and they drew another panel. So that second panel came back all normal. Like, all of my hormones was apparently normal. But that's also because I've already made changes to my nutrition. And this was about 6 weeks after the first panels. And my A1C was at 5.7, right? And then 6 weeks later, it went to 5.4. And remember how I said less than 5.7 was normal? So I actually made the change so well that my A1C went down so fast. So again, I do have a whole podcast about type 2 diabetes, and I do the same exact thing that I help my patient. It's Dr. Promlab here, interrupting your episode. I do have an announcement that I think will be super exciting and beneficial for you, especially if it doesn't cost anything, right? So I actually have a free Facebook community for waiting moms out there just like you. And this is where I provide a lot of extra additional free training in more in-depth details than I'm able to do here on the podcast. So we've actually had a training recently on insulin resistance, and I had a whole multiple ones on egg quality, what you actually need to be eating to improve your egg quality, things like that, like nutrition, what to eat, so much more too on there in this little community. And I do these training once a month in my free Facebook group that you can join that doesn't cost you anything. And you actually get to meet other waiting moms just like yourself to share the journey that you guys are on and keeping each other supported, keeping each other accountable on doing all the things that will be so beneficial for you and your new baby to help you really optimize your body and your hormones to be the perfect place for as a future home for your baby for the next 9 months, right? And these little trainings are designed to help you get pregnant even sooner than most people who wouldn't have access to these trainings, right? So when you enter the community, make sure though you answer my question before joining. I have a lot of people trying to join but don't answer any of my questions. I decline them immediately because I actually want this community to be exclusive for people who are serious about their condition, about their health, and about their trying to conceive journey. I want to be able to tailor this group into what would be the best for you. So these questions are meant to help me help you even more. So if you answer them and you'll get in immediately, right? It just shows me that you are serious about this journey and you're serious about your health and you're just not here to
you're not just here to look at information, but you're here to actually ready to learn, and you're ready to start that next chapter of your life and starting your pregnancy journey, instead of just waiting and waiting and waiting to see when it will be your turn, right? And I know this really overwhelming and lonely sometime on this journey. That's why I create this free community, and I really hope that you decide to join us. So I'll put the link to join my free Facebook community in the description of the podcast. So make sure you check that out, and I can't wait to see you in the community.
Lower the A1C and blood sugar. So I apply that to myself. And of course, it worked like magic, right? My A1C went down so fast and I'm able to keep it off. And then just 4 months into this diagnosis, like finding out my high A1C and relating that to PCOS, just after 4 months, I'm able to get pregnant. So let's kind of rewind and figure out what I did. So after all the denial and the shock and the depression and not having enough support from my family, my my mom actually, when I told her that I have high A1C, she's like, "What? Why do you have high A1C? You're young. Like you shouldn't have diabetes." So instead of telling me, "Oh, it's, you can definitely change that," or being supportive, she just went straight to, I guess, attacking mode. I'm not really sure what that was, but I basically didn't feel like she was supportive of me. But moving on from that, that didn't make me feel great. And I actually had to create a whole podcast episode talking about my initial reaction to all of that. That's in the Thrive with Type 2 Diabetes podcast that I posted. But going back to how I was able to get pregnant naturally. So once I was able to accept my condition and my diagnosis and get off of my, I'm a healthcare professional, I know everything, yada yada, high horse. I did more research and trying to figure out why my body is experiencing these symptoms where it's normally shouldn't be happening. First thing first, I was on birth control for over 10 years. And since I didn't know that I have hormone imbalances, birth control controls your hormones, right? So it's masks all the symptoms. I didn't know I have all these high A1C, irregular cycles, any of that, insulin resistance, because birth control just completely masked all the symptoms, basically put a band-aid on the problem. We don't want to do that. So if you are currently taking birth control or you've had taken birth control, that's probably why you didn't find out about your condition a lot sooner. And that's same with me too. So it's really frustrating that we're not able to learn about our condition and learn about how to heal your hormones a lot sooner. I really wish I knew this 10 years, 20 years earlier even, so I can nourish myself properly using nutrition and natural things that actually help regulate your cycle and optimize your body for pregnancy a lot better than medication can do. And as I mentioned before, I am a pharmacist and I love that I am a pharmacist. I do know the medication save lives, right? And medical technology nowadays advances, all of that I'm all for when you need it. As for me, I didn't want to try any ovulation inducing medication either. This was actually prescribed to me, letrozole and Provera, from my OB after they ran the second panels to see if there was anything they could um, resolve or look for. So I didn't even take my medication. I wanted those because I know about them, right? I know that these are the ovulation inducing agents, but I also know about their side effects and I didn't want experiencing any of those. And I also know that a lot of people try multiple rounds of these medications to no success whatsoever. And I'm not saying that would be you, that would be your case, but it can be. But some people do get success from these medications. That's why they keep getting prescribed, right? So that's what your doctor rely on. They rely on results. They rely on treatments, and treatments are almost always medication, which are actually, again, saved life. It changed so many people's lives for sure. For me, I just wanted to hold off on that because I haven't tried the nutrition route yet, and I wanted to give that a chance because I recommend that to patient with type 2 diabetes, and I wanted to see if that could help me too. One second. I just hit the mute button to cough real fast. I didn't want to do that in here, right? But anyways, let's see where we were. Okay, so let's talk about what I did. My recommendation for all of my patients with type 2 diabetes are actually trying to eat a more whole food plant based diet, but we don't want to limit anything or cut anything out of the diet basically, because if you tell yourself that, oh, you cannot have that cookie or you cannot have that donut or pizza or ice cream or whatever it is that you love eating, french fries for me, you'll want to eat it even more, right? That's just how your brain works. Will tell you you can't do something, oh, now I want to do it. So that's just psychology basically. So we want to kind of keep that in check a little bit. Mute button again, and not increase our cravings, because a lot of time people with PCOS has higher cravings for things, and one way of not worrying about that too much or managing the cravings is to not limit yourself from anything. Everything you can eat, anything, but in moderation. But mainly whole food plant based is what going to help you regulate your cycle and increase your ovulation so you can have a better chance of conceiving naturally. And last episode, my colleague Lauren talked about fiber. Whole food plant based already includes really, really high fiber things in there, because in order for you to get protein from plant, you have to eat a lot of fibers products, and those products tend to be a lot higher in protein. So things such as chickpeas or quinoa, they're plants, right? And they're high in proteins, in whole grains as well. So those are the things that you want to be eating more of. And higher fiber products in this whole food plant-based umbrella lower your cravings as well, because it keeps you full a lot longer, because your body cannot digest fiber as fast, which is good. It lower your blood sugar, prevent blood sugar spike if that's something you worry about, and then lower your cravings because it keep you full longer, keep you satisfied longer, because your body takes a longer time to digest those fibers because we don't break it down naturally quickly. But when you eat simple sugar, such as white rice, white bread, sometime just lower or higher glycemic index food like boiled potatoes, they can make your blood sugar spike a lot faster. I'm not saying don't eat these things. These are just something to keep in mind to lower the amount of, right? You can still eat these. That's not what we're worried about here. Just the fact that you are able to increase more plant-based items, more wholesome nutritious food in your diet, that's really going to change how your ovulation and equality too And that's something I focus on the most. And that's helped lower my A1C and also regulate my cycle. Another thing that you need to actually be focusing on is reducing stress. I know this is just like something people say all the time, like trying to relax, reduce stress, but also in way of how you do it. So even if you feel like you're not stressed, you still might be stressed. And incorporating things that will alleviate that or manage that. I really love meditation and yoga, so I would suggest that for everybody. But anything else that you find that helped you reduce your stress, such as journaling or, going to therapy, I love that for anybody who needs it. I would do that. And stress really affects everything. Your stress level are just basically your hormones telling you you're overloading it. And we want to balance that. We want to reduce that, right? So we want to make sure that you focus on you for a little bit. This is another thing, putting yourself first, putting yourself as priority. I'm talking to one of the girl in a Facebook group right now, and she's so strong and so brave and really want to reduce her stress level, but she's helping her family with a lot of things and super busy. So I just wanted you to think of your current lifestyle too. Are you putting a lot of effort in helping other people, or are you putting a lot of effort in helping yourself? In putting yourself first, putting yourself as priority. How often you even think about you, really? Because not a lot of the time, if you don't consciously or putting like an effort of thinking about taking care of you, I I'm pretty sure you're not really doing anything to take care of you right now. And that's just how I was too. I was taking care of my patient, going to work, taking care of my husband. I never really put myself first. And I didn't really know how because I wasn't brought up to do that. I don't know if anybody are really brought up to take care of yourself, put yourself as a priority, especially if you have a really busy schedule, right? So carving out time that is just for you, whatever you want to do, doesn't really matter. But if you enjoy that, help you release stress, I really suggest you thinking about that and figuring out what works for you. For me, it was doing yoga and meditation. These are something was new to me. Well, meditation is new, yoga I've been doing for a while. And then speaking of doing yoga and meditation, increasing physical activity, physical movement really helps, especially if you have insulin resistant like me. Because talking about insulin resistant a little bit here, your body is just not able to utilize. I think Lauren talked about this in the previous episode as well. And I talk about this extensively in my type 2 diabetes podcast. But here it just means that your body isn't able to utilize this hormones, insulin, properly. You want insulin in your body to reduce the amount of sugar in your bloodstream, so insulin carries the sugar to your muscle and cells for energy. But in this case, in my body, there it's releasing more insulin because it's trying to override the insulin resistance that I have because I'm not utilizing this hormone like I'm supposed to. So the higher insulin you have in your body actually increases androgen, and that inhibits ovulation. So that's something we want to work on, increasing daily movement, because this really helps with improving your insulin sensitivity. So I know this is a lot of information, right? So we talked about whole food plant based, we talked about reducing stress and putting yourself first. And I also talk about increasing physical movement every day. So those are the three things that I want you to focus on. If you do have, hormone imbalances, metabolic syndrome, pre-type 2 diabetes or PCOS and you want to conceive naturally, regulate your cycle, and optimize your body. So that's basically how I was able to get pregnant in just 4 months of learning about my diagnosis and implementing all these changes for myself. And figuring out what works for you is really the main things here. So really think about that and let me know if we want a little bit more information on this. You can always find me on social, right? Dr. Problem Lab Wellness Corner. But otherwise, that should be all I have for today. Hope that helps.
Well, that's all for today's episode of Becoming Moms. I hope you really enjoyed it and you found it helpful. And if you resonate with everything that I talked about today and you feel like you want to learn more, you want to learn how to truly create sustainable changes that will ensure that you will be able to effortlessly fall pregnant and find freedom from dieting, freedom from killing yourself over at the gyms days in and days out, freedom from all those medication and supplements that you're currently on, so you can stop worrying about your future and stop worrying about if you ever become a mom and start enjoying your baby making journey again. Start living your dream as your reality, right? That probably is just going to have the family that you've always wanted instead of constantly living fear and feel stuck on your trying to conceive journey. Then I really invite you to connect with me. I want to get to know you better and I want to show you how I can make all of that happen for you, right? We'll actually chat for 45 whole minutes where we'll hash out a strategic plan to help you see that regulating your cycles and ovulation isn't all that impossible anymore. But I'll only want you to reach out if you feel like you are 110% committed to your health and that you are ready to take massive action to make it happen, okay? Because we can both talk and talk until we're both blue in the face, but if you are not willing to invest in your health, not willing to invest in yourself, then nothing we can say can really change anything, right? So if you really think that is you and you are ready to see where your powerful self can really take you, then all you gotta do is go to drpromlatwellnesscorner.com/apply and book a free roadmap call with me. I am committed to you and your health, and I will work with you until you are successful. During the session, we will evaluate where your strengths are and what's currently working for you, and then we'll take a look at what we can improve upon, as well as mapping out a plan for you to get there. And then if you are a really good fit, I'll actually offer you a spot in my Becoming Moms community where we will work further with you on how to create a more sustainable and less restrictive way so you can actually optimize your hormones in your body to increase your chances of conceiving without having to think about if you'll ovulate this month at all. Also, make sure to fill out the little short survey attached to our call before the session. So I have a bit of a background on you to better prepare and plan for our session to make sure that you will get the most out of your time with me. Okay, well, I can't wait to speak with you soon. Until then, sending you lots of baby dust.